G'day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode number 2 of the set of 6, where tonight we catch up with royalty from South Africa, Labeeb Levy and Aimee Barrett-Theron, two outstanding contributors to Touch in South Africa, and I cannot wait to have this chat. Aimee, Labeeb, welcome to a set of 6.
Thank you, Adam. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks, big man. We really appreciate giving the continent some airtime.
No worries at all. As you know, South Africa is near and dear to my heart. I've got a great history with the Touchboks. The very first World Cup in '95. Some of that ragtag bunch of men are still running around the field. It's always been great to catch up with them. And, of course, with Aimee all the way back to 2005, the Youth World Cup here on the Sunshine Coast. And we'll talk a little bit about Aimee's career, meteoric rise in not only touch football, but also rugby. And Labeeb has some exciting news to share as well around his rugby career. And but first of all, as we know, we're in a pandemic all around the world, massive impact. What's the COVID-19 impact been on the general South African community? How are you guys at the moment? In isolation, I believe?
Yes, Aimee, I'll go. Yes, we actually in level 4 isolation. We've been in isolation since about 19th of March, when our president announced our isolation. So we've moved to level 4 last week, 1st of May. And it has been a little bit of a relief because we some of the things that we can do, we can go for runs from 6 to 9, and we can have home deliveries of food. But obviously our society is slightly different compared to the rest of the world. It is quite diverse with people having all sorts of struggles, and but we're coping, and we're finding ways of dealing with it. Can you hear?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and that South Africa's coping pretty well. I think initially when our president put down the level 5 lockdown, it was a tough reality, but then it's the proof is in our numbers. You know, some of the lowest in the world, and everyone's managed it quite well. And what's been great in the 6 to 9 in the morning, when we can all go outside and exercise, everyone's out with their dogs, their families. Yeah. Everyone's saying hello in your community, and it's just a great supportive atmosphere.
Yeah, we're probably seeing similar things over here. You know, we've had a little bit relaxed coming in even more now. But as you said, Aimee, it's funny that isolation seems to have brought the community a little bit closer together, that when we do get out, that nod, the wink, just the g'day as we're walking along, or how's it over there. It's funny how isolation has brought us a little bit together with that shared or common, thing that we've got behind us now. So that's generally in the community. How's it impacted on sport in South Africa? What's going on over there sport-wise?
I think nothing. South Africa, South Africa, we're such a sport crazy country. It's definitely been quite tough for us, but again, even if you look into our touch community, we've started to organize online workouts all together. We've tried to do as much as we can and be creative at home, but I think we're definitely feeling not being able to go to your local sports club, being able to go train with your team and things like that. It's been very tough because the guidelines have been so strict. There's social distancing, no teams can get together, you can't train, there's no gyms are open. So yeah, it's definitely been very tough on a sporting nation.
Yeah, so Labeeb, as far as touch goes, you guys got the interprovincial, your national championships out of the way just before isolation.
Yeah, we were fortunate because for this year we actually moved our tournament a week earlier. So we had our tournament it finished on the 15th of March, and we actually had a national training camp because we were in preparation for Euros on the 16th of March. And on the 6th of March, our president actually made the announcement to say, listen, we're going to isolation in 3 days' time. If our tournament had been as per normal, it would have been a catastrophe of note. So fortunately, our planning was pretty lucky this time, And as Aimee said, it's everything has stopped, but it's also given, I think, our society and our sporting society an opportunity to just do something different, like stay at home, because we never like staying at home, and also spend time with family, do some self-development, do online courses, and just see life from a different perspective. Other sports, it's all been very similar, but we're a sport bad country. Our football, our rugby, our cricket, and obviously our touch. We actually we can't wait to get out there again.
Can't wait to get out there again. We were in a similar position over here with our National Touch League. The announcement was made about isolation or shutdown of major community events on the Friday of our nationals. Our finals are on the Saturday. They came out and said, Friday, this is what's going to happen. And they were ready to shut us down. But then the government took a little bit of a back step and said the isolation will start Monday. So we got it finished. And yeah, we got a bit of a reprieve. So it's interesting how it's worked. But I think both of our countries are at the forefront of the movement to get back into the swing of things. Our National Rugby League over here, and I believe Super Rugby may have just made some announcements, international rugby, about recommencing. So interesting times ahead in the next couple of days. So are there any signs that the SA government's easing the isolation measures, and how do you think that'll affect a touch restart?
I think we're guided by what the other countries are doing in terms of their process and their protocols. Just what you mentioned of Super Rugby, it's basically New Zealand. I think I've listened to their president's chat this morning, and they've gone down to level 2. And so they've eased their regulations for their sports people. We're not there yet. We've got like about 8,000 cases of a 50% recovery rate, and 150 deaths. So we still work on flattening the curve, and we'll follow basically what the big sports are doing, like example the football in Europe. They're also pushing to get their sport going, and I'm sure there will be some form of domino effect over the next couple of weeks with some easing of regulations.
Even over here in Australia, Aimee, and I guess with your involvement in international sport, the big sports over here, they're talking about coming back, but there's a lot of isolation issues as well. They're talking about the teams going into hubs, so that they'll be training as a group. They'll be tested daily. There's a lot of implications about a return to sport. Obviously, the contact sports, there's a lot of control measures in place. But as you said, smaller sports, community-based sports like us will be led by those bigger guys. But Aimee, it must give you some, I guess, some happiness that we can see a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I definitely think we're headed in the right direction. If we keep following the rules, I'm a big fan of the rules, being a referee. So, yeah, keep following the rules. I think we on our way there. The fact that we've come down from level 5 to level 4, I think it'll just be a matter of time. It's a very tricky situation to be in, and I really do hope touch does start and sports in general start up. But at the end of the day, it's our health, and if you don't have that, you're in trouble. So a patient of mine actually explained it. If you've got 100 jelly beans and 3 of them are poisonous, would you still go out and eat the jelly beans? No, like I don't want that chance that I could die. So I mean, if we just kind of stick to that mentality, wait it out, go into it full blast, I think we'll be in a better place at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. As small as a chance may be, we don't like to take it. Labeeb, what does a development manager do when all the players and officials are in lockdown? How do you get out to your people and help with the development of our sport in isolation?
Look, lockdown has forced everyone to be creative. That's the one positive of lockdown, because you have to think outside the box, and every day you speak to people and they come up with new ideas. So what we've done on our side, we've met with especially our smaller associations. So we've done development, especially example in our Eastern Cape region, the Kings region for rugby people. So we work on the small associations and doing a lot of technical work with them, doing workshops with them. I mean, also assisting with structure stuff. That's basically all you can do from a development perspective. Also trying to share resources and create things like doing our online courses, but not doing the actual courses, but doing the non-practical things. So your presentation, etc. So that when lockdown ends, then you just need to complete the practical side. So it's actually become the time saver in the future. And then there's all sorts of initiatives like which like sharing of information. It's very regional based at the moment. Aimee can touch about some of the initiatives that they've been doing, but a lot of the regions have been doing sharing skill work, doing fitness stuff, and just being being creative. So post IPT, we went into a bit of a what's the word? A post national breakdown. Normally after a national, you take a dip.
You take your time.
You take a dip, and we took a dip for about 2-3 weeks, but we up and running now. It has affected our national senior pro and junior program, because our seniors were meant to go to Euros in like July. So that has been hampered a bit, but the players are still excited that Euros was postponed for another year.
Yeah.
Our juniors, our planning for our national juniors, where we have about 60 to 70 teams, which has grown over the years, which is meant to take place in September. So we're looking at creative ways, as you mentioned. There are certain specifics in terms of how many people can attend the tournament. I heard the New Zealand president said this morning that they can have team sports, but limited to 100 people. So if we have that in a touch community, we have to be creative how we run our tournaments. It might have to be different age groups over different weekends, things like that. But traveling is still an issue for us.
So I guess to put it in a nutshell, the development manager isn't resting on his laurels. He's actually out there communicating with the people, making sure that we're all, they're all switched on, ready to go when that opportunity comes. Aimee, Labeeb talked about some of the development that's going on within the touch fraternity. When we get back to the normal, can you see some of these things carrying over into that new space?
Yeah, I really hope so. It's been great to actually just stop and just take a pause and recalibrate. And we've learned lots from the senior IPTs, and just to get together. And I know all the associations are getting down to it. We've got match videos to review. We've got times to have online conference calls with everyone to check in. We've got time to put in that base foundation. The closer you get to a tournament, it just becomes technical and you're getting through all your different players. But now, we're going through the prehab programs and trying to get everyone strong and work on the fitness so we can build for what's to come.
Awesome. And just a reminder for people that are out there watching, you can post comments live. We can throw them to our guests. I'm sure Aimee's looking forward to answering some of the questions from the viewers. Some of the teammates might even be out there watching, ready to throw a curly one. And I'm sure, Labeeb, there's plenty of questions for you. But what are you doing with your elite athletes? Have you got anything in place? You talked about Euros. So obviously there were some plans post-nationals for your national teams. How have you continued that on? What steps have you taken to remaining in touch and just make sure that they have their focus still on the Euros and whatever is beyond?
if look, with Euros being postponed by a year, which effectively makes it 15 months away, it's not easy to keep athletes motivated. But at this point, it's mostly the coaches are driving those programs in terms of sharing information and giving the players what's required. So it's coach driven, but the provincial unions, as we mentioned, are the ones who are driving it, also with the various associations via doing online videos, distributing information to their players, having Zoom meetings with their players, skills videos, etc. And we've actually embraced, as a national body, the passing challenge which New Zealand posed. So all the unions have actually embraced that whole passing challenge. And I think at this point in time, it's important to keep the people sane, because you're isolated, you're alone. So you need to look at the well-being of the person as well. You can't just throw things at them. But we have shared some information with the players.
Excellent. And Aimee touched on the importance of our health, our fitness, but the mental health, Aimee, is also something that's at the forefront, I guess, of your minds in the roles that you're playing in touch and also your other sporting pursuits. The mental health aspect of it that Labeeb just touched on, Aimee, can you enlighten us a little bit about how important that is?
Yeah, 100%. I think it goes back to the old school, healthy body, healthy mind. And I think this is our new reality where we're experiencing it, personally, that it is, if you're not looking after the physical side, the mental side is really going to head downhill. And it's not a distant issue that's, someone's friend or someone else struggles with. It can be in your own household, it can be within your team. And it's something that we found, coming together as a team, coming together as, the South African players. And as I mentioned earlier, we're doing the online fitness videos together, and we all, we can see each other's screens, and it's just a nice way to support each other. And, for some people that are completely isolated at home, sometimes it's their only interaction for the day. So it's just important to feed off each other's positive energy and get through it like that, because it's really undervalued.
It is. And you talked about the passing challenge there, Labeeb. I don't know if I've seen you in one, or Aimee for that matter. And I think
I've definitely done mine. I think it needs a few edits and a bit of Photoshop, and it'll be out there soon.
Fair enough. And we'll throw the challenge out there for Labeeb then. And I don't just want any normal pass, mate. You've got to throw something in the mix. But I want to stay on the mental health aspect of it, because I think that's something that's really come to the forefront. And how we've built technology into doing that. So things like this, where we can share the word from South Africa with other people in the touch community all around the world, so that they can see that they're not facing this alone, that we're all going through it. And that, there's a big thing over here in Australia where the catch cry is we're all in this together. And I think the mental health aspect of it is so important going forward, that we need to harness what we're doing now in sharing, the insights, staying in touch with our players, with our referees, with our, participants at every level of the sport, that we don't lose sight of how we can use this technology to do that. Because mental health, it can be just that, for me to look at you on the screen, Labeeb, and just make that personal contact, and how's it? How are you, mate? Like, it's something that I think we need to. Yeah. So I mean, Aimee, in your job, outside of sport, okay, you're a biokineticist. You're treating people, looking after their physical well-being. Have you used technology in your practice now? Is that something that you're utilizing? And again, being able to communicate with your patients, you're keeping them healthy physically, but that'd have to help the fact that they know they can reach out if they need you.
Yes, definitely. I think this pandemic, it's something brand new for everyone, and I really like that. We're all in this together, and it's a case of, in my job, it's half of it's the physical rehabilitation, the other half is the mental and emotional side. So we've been fortunate enough to be using telehealth, being using these online sessions to connect with my patients and check in with them, using as many modes of communication as possible with them, because it could be as easy as sending a home program out, but the bigger, 90% of it is their interaction with the person, making sure that they're doing everything right, making sure they're okay. I always say in my practice, this is a safe space. Whatever you say here stays here. And it's incredible what gets shared in those times, and I feel really privileged to become a part of someone's life like that. So we've been lucky. I've been able to continue it at this stage, but it's definitely something I miss in the practice, and I miss that personal interaction.
Yeah, fair enough. But it is a way that we can remain in touch, and hopefully moving forward, I hope it is something that people harness and don't forget about it once the isolation's over, because there is still that somebody might feel happy just talking on the screen to each other and reaching out. And you don't have to do it in your own backyard. You can do it across the thousands of kilometres that we share our time here tonight. So Labeeb, back to you. Sure. Development, your national teams and so forth. Thinking outside the box a little bit, what are you doing to recruit players into our sport during this time? Are there any sort of new ways that you can reach out and hopefully harness some new participants?
Yeah, from a marketing perspective, we've like in some regions that I spoke to, they've actually use this opportunity to create online pamphlets, to send out communication to schools, to new clubs. Also use this area, this time period to look at other things like venues where we can play the sport. Look at new schools to use their venues. Recruitment is tough because we've also been on school holidays. The youngsters have just come back from school holidays, but a lot of the schools are doing online schooling. Not all of them, because as I said, our societies not all have access to that to those facilities.
Technology. Yeah.
So from a recruitment perspective, it gives our association opportunity to do online pamphlets, distribute it, but it's not easy to recruit at this point, because a lot of our recruitment is done via the schools.
Okay. Hopefully we can tap into that too, and I guess being a less of a contact sport too might have some promotion going forward that we can tap into as well. Everybody here has a background in rugby, and I know that there's a really good crossover there between the two sports, and it's something that into the future that especially parents might see as being a way to stay in touch with that type of sport, the ball sport, and we can hopefully harness some of that participation.
Just to touch on that, a lot of our rugby provincial unions have stopped, have actually stopped rugby for the year, especially on schools. So right. We're going to look at an opportunity to tell them, listen, there's no contact rugby, no 15s rugby. Why not use possibly when the isolation ends to possibly play more touch tournaments to replace the rugby during the hopefully August, September period. And that can be a way of recruitment as well into the regions.
Yeah, that's a shame for the tackle brand of our sport, but hopefully, good news for us. So I want to get a little bit more personal now, and I'm going to go to you first, Aimee, because you have a very impressive resume around sport. I touched on earlier. You 2005, the Youth World Touch Cup. You came out here to the Sunshine Coast, so you've had a long history there in the sport, and was it just a little bit over 12 months ago you were there again in Malaysia at the World Cup Seniors this time. But I want to touch on your rugby. An amazing, career as a referee in rugby. You started out as a player and moved into the officiating ranks. And only a couple of months ago, there you were in the Women's Six Nations, refereeing some of those tournaments. Tell us a little bit about your rugby career.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. Thanks for that little intro with it. I think I have to start off by saying it all started from touch rugby for me. I started playing touch rugby in 2002 and played that Junior World Cup, and it just started to, put my foot into the rugby side of things. And crossed over into the dark side and started reffing. And it's definitely been one of the biggest challenges I've ever done. But it's being a player before has put me in a much better stead to be a referee. So I've been very fortunate enough to be on the SARU's Premier panel for the last couple of years and learn from gents like Jacob Paper, Marius van der Westhuizen, Craig Jabir when he was around. These are the guys I grew up. I don't want to make them sound old, but I grew up watching them, and I was a part of the Super Rugby camp at the beginning of this year with all the referees, and just to be in a room and interacting with some of the gents, the best Southern Hemisphere refs that we have. So it's been an incredible journey so far, and we're looking forward to the Women's World Cup next year, 2021 in New Zealand. That's going to be a really big one for us. And I was fortunate enough I've played in a couple of World Cups, and now to have refed. I refed 2017, and I would love to feature in the 2021 one. So it's been an absolute journey, and we're riding this massive wave. It's certainly very tough, and I'm sure there's people out there that have their different opinions about referees in general and myself, and it's made me, I don't want to sound too cheesy, but it's made me become a stronger person and a better person. To go out there, put in the hard work, because I'm actually a professional rugby referee. It's not just pitching up on a Saturday. We're going Monday to Sunday, all hours, trying to make the most of that 80 minutes on a Saturday. So it's been great.
And again, you use the words cheesy. I don't want to sound too cheesy, but it's what you do for women in sport. We have professional female referees over here in rugby. One of our leading female referees, also named Amy. I'm sure you know her quite well.
Yeah. But, that was quite fun on the 7th circuit when I wasn't married, and so she's Aimee Barrett and I'm Aimee Barrett. So that was lots of fun. Yeah.
So, but I mean, to give other girls out there the opportunity that you've done, you've laid the foundation. The first woman, on the national men's panel in South Africa, and you talked about the Super Rugby camp. Before we went into isolation and they put a stopper to that, you would have been knocking on the door for an assistant referee's role there, or hopefully get out onto the middle of the field one day.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to be on the touch for a couple of Super Rugby games, and I think the dream would be to go as far as I can in the men's game. I think initially when I first started reffing, I just, true to my personality, just try to stay under the radar and just get on and do my thing. And I've realized more and more that it's actually important to do things like this. It's important to do the interviews and get out there so other women can see that it's possible. Especially in South Africa, rugby is very much a male-dominated sport, and be able to break through those barriers and open people's eyes to realize that women are coming through. And it was very important for me to earn it as much as I can through merit. And I think from my local Union Western Province and going into the SA Rugby, I've been so well supported from day one that it was just an incredible, they just took me under their wing and looked after me, and it was hard graft, but now that I am where I am, it's amazing to see the impact it has on, we've got junior, we have women's panels, we have junior referee panels, just trying to inspire them to get involved and join me.
Yeah, awesome. And to be known not just as a leading female referee, but leading referee Aimee Barrett-Theron, that is amazing. And like you said, it was hard work to get there, but you did it.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. I'd love that. Yeah.
Plenty of support from your Touch family, I'm sure, as well. And Labeeb, mate, you've made the crossover. Western Province. Tell me a little bit about that one before we, go into more Touch.
Yeah, I was actually, when I was at 2009, okay, Rassi Rasmus, when he joined Western Province Union as director of rugby, and I was still working in the cellular company Vodacom, he actually asked me if I wanted to join the Western Province workforce, and then the ad came out, and I had to apply, and fortunately, I got the job, and I became a professional rugby coach for the junior teams, under 21, and the level just below Super Rugby. So I've been operating on that level for about five years or so, and then I went into coaching and education with the Western Province Union, doing courses for them, all the World Rugby courses, level 1, level 2, 15, 7s, strength and conditioning, and then last year, we've gone through a changeover within Stormers Rugby with new management, etc. And the new head coach approached me to come aboard as a skills coach, as well as do performance analysis for the Stormers. And I grabbed the opportunity with two hands, and yeah, that's it.
Awesome, mate. And as long as the two sports have existed, when I first came over in '95, Ian McIntosh got me along to a couple of Sharks sessions over there in Durban as well. And it was funny back then. Some people saw the crossover. Some people saw the phases that we use in touch football being a massive part of rugby. And Ian sort of tried to tap into it, but there was a lot of pushback about touch rugby at the time. Obviously, that we're becoming closer together.
Yeah, it has changed over the years. Since we were actually an associate member for SARU. Interestingly, speaking about crossover last year, SARU actually gave SATA budget, and we nominated 12 ladies to attend a 10-day sevens program at our performance center in Stellenbosch, and we nominated 12 ladies, and they actually got paid a daily rate to train with the sevens. The sevens, and the sevens coaches, they're always scouting at our tournaments, same like you guys did a few years ago, and that's cool. And out of our juniors, we've got girls there that I'm sure within time they will become Olympians. I'm positive. Touch girls will become Olympians in sevens.
That Australian. The Australian Olympic gold medalists were chock-a-block full of touch players, and some that Aimee would have played against at the Youth World Cup back in 2005. So the crossover is definitely there. Mate, I just want to, before we go to the crowd questions, I just want to touch on the continent of Africa. How is the sport developing over there? We've seen in the sevens tournament in rugby, some of those other African nations coming forward with Kenya having great input. How's touch being taken on the continent?
Yeah, over the last few years, I've been in contact with various countries, obviously trying to get via the coaching commission, especially to get them active and doing some form of development role. Last year I went to New Zealand on a rugby tour, and on the way back I visited a few countries, Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania, and did referee and coaching courses for them. I actually assisted Uganda with their whole infrastructure, etc., and they actually applied to FIT, and they were accepted. So they're an associate member now. Other countries they are playing. They're getting it into schools. They're not formal members yet, but we're trying to get there. And using rugby, I went on a sevens coaching course to Malawi, Lilongwe. And then I also did I used that opportunity to do touch and referee course as well. So Uganda's got some touch. Kenya's got a monthly tournament where every month they move it they move it around. It's all obviously they're not full members of FIT, but they are playing. Zimbabwe's also as tournament. They play a bit of a hybrid game of 6 touch, but with 7 players in the field. So I've had meeting with them during this lockdown now to say, listen, guys, get the 1 player off. You'll have more tries. Try try to come to tournaments. In example, in Johannesburg, come join South Africa's IPT. Mauritius has got dabbled a bit, but they've died down. But the country at the moment is Uganda, Kenya. I've been in contact with Libya, with Libya. I had, ironically, 4 years ago, I actually had like a podcast level 1 coaching course with them via Skype. But they were impacted via the war on that side.
Well, yeah.
And, but Africa, it's growing possibly not at the rate as possibly Asia example, because the extreme poverty. That's what I know about it. But when I went in, it's extreme poverty. But there's talent, there's passion, and there's people out there in anywhere in the world that has time and want to visit those countries via foundations, etc., or want to give resources for any of these countries. I'll gladly assist and put you in contact with those countries. But there is a need for sport and touch being not full contact. It's a perfect opportunity. But obviously, we want to get them sustainable and structured as well, so that they can be fully fledged FIT members and attend World Cups. Although World Cups shouldn't be the only benchmark, as long as they're
exactly right. And I guess as guardians of the sport, that's something that we've always got in mind, is what we can do to provide, assistance or support at whatever level, touch football in those countries as well. And like you said, the World Cup is obviously the pinnacle, but it shouldn't be the only benchmark of our sport. So I think you're 100% right there. And if you need any help, I'm sure Amy's got a spare 2 minutes in one of the days that you could possibly put into that sort of stuff as well.
I thought you were going to say 2 million. I thought you were going to say 2 million.
Oh, no, come on. Okay, let's have a look. Let's have a look now. We've got plenty of people out there that are sharing this interview with us, and we'll go to our first question. Ryan Charton, somebody that we all know and love very much. Aimee, do you enjoy reffing touch or rugby more, and why?
Charts, that's a great question, that. And I think I'll give you a real diplomatic answer and say I love the different challenges they all provide. And I think coming off, say, a Super Rugby season or a Six Nations game and going into reffing senior into provincials, it was just a lovely game change. But I love my time being on the field and managing the game and being a part of the action without having to tackle anyone on the rugby field, which is quite nice. But yeah, they're all different challenges for me, and I would really struggle to pick which one is my favorite. Obviously, being a professional rugby referee, it's a huge passion of mine. But yeah.
How long did it take you to get used to being called Sir or Mr. Ref?
So that pretty much started from day one, and it's a compliment for me, because then I realize people have switched off to the fact that I'm a woman, and they're just treating me like any other ref. And it's still an experience when they call you Mrs. or in South Africa it's Tannie, which is like auntie.
Auntie,
and that's maybe not my favorite, but it's a sign of respect, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely, both of them have levels of respect there, but abuse knows no sexes, I guess. So. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So there you go, Charts. That's there's a nice answer for you. So now we've got one. Ray has asked, are there any special training programs specifically for touch that we can download during this time? Have you guys got anything that's downloadable, or is it more just live streaming or recorded stuff on your website?
Our marketing manager, she is work on downloadable things, but they can get in contact with us, especially they can email me on Labeeb, Labeeb at wprugby.co.za, and we'll gladly send you conditioning or touch specific programs. But we're looking at uploading things onto our SATA website.
We might throw that email up in the comments at the end of the interview, and there are a lot of resources that are available out there through the Federation. all of the national websites as well. I know out here, the Touch Football Australia website, all of our state bodies in Australia, a lot of resources. And one thing about the touch community, we do enjoy sharing. So there's a lot of information that's available out there. And I guess, Ray, start with the federation, and they'll be able to direct you in the direction of your local associations. But obviously, that offer from Labeeb as well. Have a look for the email in the comments section, and Labeeb is more than happy to share some of those programs that he's got at his disposal. So we got another question now. Sorry, Labeeb, I'll just go on to this one here. Rolf82, will there be smaller local provincial tournaments? What is the approach to get back into action as the restrictions lift? Labeeb, I'll throw that one for you.
So we had a national meeting a few nights ago, and that had come up. Obviously, we're guided by government based on what they're saying. At this point, we haven't officially cancelled our national junior tournament, which is quite big on our touch calendar, but it's looking like it's going that way, and we will probably have local and regional tournaments, and depending on the extent or the level of the legislation, we'll have to be creative how we do it. As I mentioned previously, we will have regionals. If we can only have 100 people or 100 people at the tournament, or 200 people at the tournament, we will adjust our tournaments accordingly. So any ideas or recommendations, people can send it through, and we'll look what we can implement. But we are guided by the national government. The one challenge that we do face with is things like because we use school facilities, rugby facilities. The challenge there for us would be also, are those facilities happy to have outside people on their venues for the risk of spreading the virus? So those are things that we have to also take into consideration.
Excellent.
Thanks, Rolf.
Okay. Abro, he's got one there, throwing the curly one for all three of you. Favorite touch memory or experience? So, Amy, your favorite touch memory or experience?
That is a tough question. Thank you, Michael. I've been playing the game since 2002, so there have been an incredible amount of memories and experiences. I think one of the highlights for me would definitely be the World Cup we hosted in 2007. I think I was still pretty young, just going into the women's open team, and getting the bronze medal was something I'll never forget. But year in, year out, playing the provincials, it almost doesn't. I mean, we've been fortunate enough to do well in our interprovincial tournaments, but it's actually the experiences with your teammates that really make the most of it. So those are the ones that I'll value for plenty of time to come. And then obviously I must mention the World Cup in Malaysia. It was just an incredible team, an incredible SA squad that went up there. It was absolutely cooking every day, but just great to get that international experience again after, my last one being in 2007.
It was amazing. So Labeeb, you've been to how many World Cups, mate?
I think six. I went six. Yeah. I asked actually Peter Walters, how many World Cups have you been to? He said all of them, mate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what's your fondest memory?
There's been a few, man. I'm not going to do the memory justice. A few would be, I think, capping my daughter at 2018 Youth World Cup was quite special. Facing the Haka last year in Malaysia was nice. 2003 Japan, which when you were one of the coaches, that was I really enjoy Japan. But I think it touches your memory and your experience just keeps growing exponentially, and I really love the fact that you meet so many people, and on the international front, people you meet people once and then you're friends almost like forever. But those are just a few of the memories. Like Amy said, the teamwork, the camaraderie, the experience that you experience at every tournament. Coaching under 10 girls team, that sometimes gives you more satisfaction than sometimes coaching a World Cup team. Our sport is just so great and so addictive.
Yeah.
Your side.
I would have to say, bro, my greatest memories are the people. I've won tournaments, I've coached teams at every level, at every age group, but it's just the people. Internationally, nationally, the relationships that I've carried on through the sport. My family was involved. That's how we first got involved. I played my first game when I was 10 years old, as did my sister. She represented Australia as a player at 3 World Cups, and I couldn't have been any prouder. I've coached a few. It's just the people. So, Abro, you are certainly part of one of my favourite memories, mate. And you've played a role in every aspect of that, as have the 2 legends on screen with me here tonight. So we'll see if we've got something else popping up here for us. And it look like we have, there's a familiar name. Zondra Barrett-Theron.
The wife's got a question.
Yeah.
So, Adam, we would love to host the Aussie Ladies Touchside. Any plans on visiting SA once we can travel again? Well, I can't answer for that for the team, but I'm sure that there are plenty of touch footballers in Australia that would love to come on out. Labeeb, what have you got there for me?
They've actually given me the portfolio of incoming tours to SA, and like Euros was meant to be this year, and next year was the Lions tour was meant to mirror the actual rugby tour to South Africa. So our community was very, very, very excited for that. Obviously, with Euros being moved next year, it might not happen, but I think there's still opportunity for such an event to happen the following year. But in the same breath, just to touch on the question, is that we'd actually welcome people to come to our country all the time, and the reason being, it's cheap, it's affordable. I was chatting to people in New Zealand. It's the same price for them to come from New Zealand to South Africa as what it is to go to Australia. So maybe that's an opportunity. If I go to Australia, a chocolate, I buy a chocolate here, say for R7, I pay 43 Rand in Australia. So because our currency is so weak, it's an opportunity for the world to come to us. And the French over 40 team was speaking about coming next year to South Africa to tour. And send your provincial teams. We'll look at ways of making it even cheaper for you. I think our sport can learn from rugby. I assisted Kenya in their 15th rugby, and their model is as follows. So Kenya pays to fly to Hong Kong. So they pay the flights, but then Hong Kong does the accommodation. And I think that's ways our countries can look at touring internationally, because cost is a factor. But I can tell you one thing: South Africa is cheaper than any other country to tour, and we will look after you.
The currency might be weak, my friend, but the people are strong. The friendships that you have over there are strong. And I can put it out there, if there are any people watching tonight, wherever you may be around the world, or if you watch this broadcast a little bit later on, if the offer is out there and you can get a team together, visit South Africa. You will not ever think that you've done the wrong thing there. They are an amazing sporting organisation. They're a beautiful country, and the people are second to none. I cannot stress just how many great memories I've had from my times in South Africa, and I would love to come back as well. So if there's any offers out there, I'm sure I can bring the family. And
we would absolutely love to have you, Adam.
So we might wrap it up. If we got any more questions there, I'm just having a look at the screen. Okay, so my 8-year-old son's been watching this one, Labeeb. I think this one's for you.
Yeah.
Was my dad a good coach?
Lex,
up by my 8-year-old. Lockie, his name is, mate.
Oh, Lockie. Yeah, your dad was actually in our coaches box in 2003 when we drew with the Aussie men's cities in Japan. Your dad's amazing. He's actually done a lot for the development of the sport in South Africa. Him, Peter McNeven, the late Rowdy, amongst others, they've really played a major role in the growth of our sport. But I think South Africa, we actually hungry the same like a lot of the other nations, but to actually take the step up and level up. Your dad's amazing.
Thanks, Labeeb. Stitched up on my 8-year-old. I can't believe it. But anyway, and I'll sling you some of those rand later on for the answer too, mate. Thanks for that one.
Yeah.
So, guys, we'll wrap it up there on that question. Fair dinkum. That's going to be the last question for the night. But thank you so much for having a chat with us and just letting people around the world know exactly how we. I said it before. We're all in this together. Nobody's alone out there in isolation. The sport of touch football is strong. The camaraderie, the friendships that we've built are strong, and we'll remain in touch this way. Labeeb, thanks very much, mate. It's always a pleasure to catch up with you. Aimee, outstanding. All the best with the future with your rugby refereeing. I look forward to seeing you on the field over here in Australia. If you are making your way out for a match, let me know for sure, and we'll catch up.
Thank you, Adam. I appreciate it. Hopefully the next time you is face-to-face in South Africa. That'll be awesome.
Beautiful. Thanks again, Labeeb. Aimee, thanks for joining me, and thanks for everybody out there watching. We'll have another episode next week. Not sure where we'll be. We'll pop up somewhere around the world of touch football. But for everyone at home, thanks for watching. Labeeb and Aimee, it's been fantastic catching up with you. Stay in touch. Set of 6 next week.
Thanks a lot, Adam. See you, Aimee.